Welcome to Mrs. Jager's Book Nook. I am excited to read this fancy Nancy book to you today. It's called The Mermaid Ballet. Before we get started though, I want to introduce you to a couple words that you may or may not know. The first one is the word entrance. So in the book it says, I make my grand entrance. To enter somewhere is to walk in or to come in. So if you were to walk in this classroom door back here, you would be entering the classroom. You would be making an entrance. And to make a grand entrance means that you're doing it with some flair. And then the next word I have for you is weeping willow. In the book, it says, Madame Lucille tells me to pretend to be a weeping willow. A weeping willow is a kind of a tree, and its branches kind of go arch up and then come down, and has these little tiny leaves that look like tears. So it looks like the tree is down and it's crying. And so in this book, the character's part is to pretend to be a weeping willow. But what I find interesting is her face. She's pretending to be a weeping willow. She's so sad. To weep is to cry really, really hard. So let's read this book and find out more about Fancy Nancy in the Mermaid Ballet. I have thrilling news. Thrilling means terrific and excited, all mixed together. We're going to be in a ballet, I tell my mom and Jojo. It's called Deep Sea Dances. I am positive. That's fancy for 100% sure that Madame Lucille will pick Brie and me to be mermaids. We play mermaids all the time. Jojo's kiddie pool is our lagoon. A lagoon is a fancy kind of lake. We pretend that our clubhouse is called Mermaid Mansion. Mansions are almost as big and fancy as castles. Our mermaid names are turquoise and sapphire, which are fancy shades of blue. Here's my mermaid costume. I designed it myself. The night before dance class, I perform for everyone. Not to brag, but I am the most graceful person in my family. Ta-da! I make my grand entrance. I do leaps that are called jetés and knee bends that are called pliés. Don't you love how so many ballet words are in French? It's pretty cool, huh? Oh, maybe Madame Lucille will make me head mermaid. Then I lower my voice. Of course, I'll feel terrible if I end up with a bigger part than Brie. Nancy, says my mom, remember, being in a ballet is thrilling no matter what part you have. I nod. I guess my mom is worried that Brie won't get a good part too. Now I wonder, is she worried about Brie, you think? Or do you think she's more worried about Nancy's attitude? Today, I hardly wobble at all when I dance on one leg. And I am almost positive that Rhonda bumped into me, not the other way around. Twice, Madame Lucille says I'm making progress. That's fancy for getting better. I say, merci, madame. Then I curtsy in the special ballet way. At the end of class, Madame Lucille announces the parts. Brie and I sit together. All of my fingers are crossed. I can hardly stand the suspense. She's so excited. At pickup time, I tell Dad the awful news. I am a tree. And I'm just an oyster, Brie says. My dad acts like it's so thrilling. Dad, you don't understand. My costume will be brown. There's no way to look fancy and brown. Later, we have a tea party to cheer ourselves up. I say, chérie, that's fancy for darling. You are going to be the greatest oyster ever. Brie says, no one will be a better tree than you. At the next dance class, we practice our parts. And guess what? I am not just a plain old tree. Madame Lucille tells me to pretend I am a weeping willow. Willows are very graceful, Madame says. Their branches swoop and sway and swirl in the wind. I swoop and sway everywhere I go. Look, she's in the grocery store. I make my face look sad because I am a weeping willow. A week later, there's startling news. Startling is fancy for surprising, only in a bad way. Savannah, who is one of the mermaids, has sprained her ankle. She cannot dance. But Madame Lucille tells us Savannah can still be in the ballet. She will be one of the oysters. And Bree will take Savannah's place as one of the mermaids. Say what? Bree throws her arms around me. She is beaming, that's smiling from ear to ear. I'm so happy for you, I say. Only, I don't really mean it. I liked it much better when neither of us got to be a mermaid. At home, I stuffed my beautiful costume in the back of my closet. My mermaid days are over. She's a wee bit dramatic, don't you think? When my mom comes in to say goodnight, I tell her about Bree. I am a terrible girl. I lied. I said I was happy for her, and I'm not. Well, that's not lying exactly, says Nancy's mom. You want to be happy for Bree, don't you? Well, of course. She's my best friend. Well, it's just hard now because Bree got something you wanted very much. You're jealous, but your heart is so generous and warm. It will melt away the bad feelings. I'm 100% positive that my mom is the wisest mother in the world. The next morning, I give Bree my fanciest shell tiara. It's yours for keeps, I tell her. I wish we were both mermaids, she says. Soon it is time to get ready. My costume is magnificent. My branches are made of tinsel, like on a Christmas tree. I wear a little nest in my hair. I'm going to be the fanciest willow tree ever. The ballet is a smashing success. That's fancy for a big hit. When it's my turn to dance, something happens. I feel carried away by the music. I swoop and I sway, almost as if I were a real weeping willow. There she goes, swooping and swaying away. At the end, we all get a standing ovation. That means everybody jumps up and claps like crazy. My parents give me a beautiful bouquet of flowers. Merci, I say. Mom, you were right. It was thrilling to perform in a ballet. We all go to the King's Crown to celebrate. Bree and I toast each other. That means we clink our glasses together and then we shout, "Bravo" for us. So I hoped you enjoyed this book about Fancy Nancy and the Mermaid Ballet, and I'll see you next time here on Mrs. Jager's Book Nook.